Hi, Purpose Partner. Welcome to another episode of Rise to Your Purpose, a personal and spiritual development podcast for female entrepreneurs with a mission. We are your hosts, Brandie and Natalie.
We are founders of Victorious Entrepreneurs Rising, where we guide women to build profitable businesses online through diversifying your income, using kingdom principles in marketing, and operating in a spirit of rest so that you can create kingdom impact.
After this episode, be sure to join our Purpose Partner Facebook community and get your copy of our Rise to Your Purpose devotional so we can continue to serve you as we partner together in our faith and business. Let's dive into today's episode. Hey, friends of Purpose Partners, welcome to another episode of Rise to Your Purpose. I am your host, Brandie Thomas, and on today's episode, I'm so excited. I have the privilege to introduce you to Crystal Tharp. Crystal is the owner of the Organized Home and producer of the Home Approach program and Purpose-Driven Productivity program. She has over 12 years of combined experience working in the professional organizing industry and coaching industry. And so she gets to combine her expertise in decluttering and organizing and home management and time management and productivity with her passion for helping us busy Christian women to just become better organized and more productive at home and in our work, so that we can really show up for those daily priorities and achieve those goals, and bring out our best self. So I'm really excited because I think this is going to bless us all, me included, and our listeners. So thank you so much, and welcome, Crystal, for coming on to the podcast today.
Oh, thank you, Brandie. That was a wonderful, warm welcome.
Yes. So I would love for you to share with me and the audience just a little bit more about your journey and how you came to get into the coaching space and specifically like the home management space, because that's I don't really meet a lot of coaches in this space. So I'm really excited to hear your story.
Yeah, well, I actually began as a professional organizer in 2012. And when I stumbled across this industry, it was kind of by accident. It's interesting how things just kind of happen randomly sometimes. But I immediately knew that I had this special calling and gifting in organization. And I thought, what a wonderful way to step into what God's calling me into, to bless others with, in areas where they don't have that gift. And so I started offering in-home organizing services. I worked side by side with my clients, and most of my clients were moms, and I helped them organize every square inch of their home, every drawer, every closet, even entire garages. And I loved it. It was just like absolutely perfect. It felt like a perfect fit for me as a career. And then I became a mom myself a few years. And it was interesting. My neat and tidy, perfectly organized home got quickly turned upside down, having 3 children under 4 years old.
Oh my goodness.
So it was kind of a wake-up call for me. And I realized, wow, I think I need to make some changes to my approach, because I thought that I could easily manage this organized home, but it's different when you have children. And so, what I realized very quickly is that a lot more things were coming into our home, and I had a lot less time to keep our home organized. So that really led me to, troubleshooting, trial and error, trying to figure out, how do I keep up on all these things? Because I really craved a sense of order. Mm-hmm. And I knew that was from the Lord also. The Lord is not a Lord of chaos and disorder. He's a very orderly, God. And so I thought, I really want to try to find a way to keep up this order. And so, in addition to that, I also had to figure out, how do I manage all these priorities, these household, duties like laundry and dishes and all the paper coming in from school and all the toys everywhere and all the baby stuff, it's like, it was just ongoing. And so it was actually not just creating order, it was actually creating some balance with my time as well. And so I had to figure out, okay, all these things that are priorities to me, my family, my business, my faith, and everything else that I was involved in, like volunteering and friendships and all that, I had to find balance for my life. And so that really led me on this journey of trying to create some systems. And during that time, it was 5 straight years where I was either pregnant or nursing. My hormones suddenly decided to take over, and I experienced a very dark period of postpartum depression. And that was a huge setback for me. And a huge setback on my pride also, because suddenly everything came to a halt for me. And I felt so limited in my ability to do anything really. And my mindset was not in a good place. And so it was a season where I learned what it really meant to fully lean on the Lord, like I'd never experienced before in my life. So, until that point, I was just, doing everything on my own effort, just felt very capable. I didn't need any help anywhere. So it was a very humbling experience for me.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Crystal. And I can relate to that so we adopted our son. We have he's 4 now. And just being a very organized, kind of more type A personality, like everything has a place, there's a process, there's systems. And then having this human come in and just wreck it all. And trying to be like, wait, that's not where that goes, and that's not how this is supposed to work. And he's his own person and wants to do things his own way, and creating space for that and him to grow up and learn and develop as long as well as creating space for me to be like, okay, how do I keep my equilibrium almost intact and not feel so overwhelmed or get caught off guard with all the chaos that this human who has his own wills and desires and wants and needs. So I feel like I'm so excited you're on here, because I think I'm not alone in feeling that way, and especially with mama entrepreneurs who are trying to balance that, that work and being a good steward of the home and being a good wife and mother, and how do we bring that peace and harmony together. I love the word synergy. I come from a green belt, Six Sigma, and I feel like synergy is everything working together, but not everything has to have the same amount of priority or space. So I'm trying not to find balance, but how can I actually get things to work together and flow? And so I would love to hear kind of your perspective, since this is your niche, this is your area of expertise, from a biblical perspective, what are some principles and strategies that we can lean on as women when it comes to stewarding and organizing our homes, our lives, and our businesses, and all the things?
Yeah, so I have a very faith-centered approach to organization, and it's unique and different to what other organizational coaches talk about, because it really is based on biblical principles. And so it's really in alignment with the fruit of the Spirit. And so, I believe that our physical surroundings, everything, in our home space, and the order of our lives can really be influenced by our spiritual growth and greatly impact our well-being. Because, it's one thing to have an organized home, but it's another to really have this sense of balance in your well-being and feeling, filled with the Spirit, walking in the Spirit. And so I believe that, that does go hand in hand together. And honestly, I really believe that God desires for us to not simply just go through the motions of day in, day out, can't wait to get to bed, can't wait for the day to be over, but really desiring for us to thrive at home. Because the home unit is a place where husband and wife thrive in their marriage. It's where mother and children, and father and children, thrive in their parenthood. And you want to have this sense of, oh, my home feels so blessed. I'm so blessed to have this home. I'm so grateful that we get to live here, and it is a gift, and so in order to create that thriving space at home, there are some things that we have to implement, to create that space. And so, I feel like, helping, it begins with beginning with overcoming our unique obstacles and our mindset blocks. So there are, I'm just going to say this to begin with, because it's important to note that the enemy will really try to do everything to throw us off our game, to try to make us feel defeated, to try to discourage us, to make us feel stuck. And so when you recognize that there is this, someone is working against you, you really have to put up your defenses, and you really have to seek the Lord in kind of overcoming some of your challenges. And so when you recognize that there's more power, we can embrace what the Lord has for us if we turn to him for everything. And that includes our, how we think about our home, and what we focus our attention on, and some of the goals that we have for the day, really feeling empowered to let the Lord guide us in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so through my home approach program, that it's a faith-centered program. It's where we are really build that foundation of a kind of biblical mindset to lean on the Lord for what we need, surrender what we're holding on to. We're not meant to hold on to stress. We're not meant to hold on to resentment. We're not meant to hold on to, any of those negative feelings that get in our way and throw us off track. It's important to be in alignment with, the Lord's way of doing things. So it's really focused on putting God in the center, really leaning into prayer, leaning into biblical wisdom through the Bible, and inviting in the Holy Spirit to work through you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We want to take a moment and extend to you a special invite to partner with us with Girl Power Alliance. Inside of Girl Power Alliance, we are so focused on helping you step into your kingdom identity and becoming the woman that God designed you to be. That's what the entire membership is built around. Christ-centered personal and professional development. So you have over 300 different modules. You have live calls and certifications that you can plug into, and you have a rich opportunity to build an income by sharing those things with other people. This is a completely digital platform and membership opportunity. So you don't have to worry about shipping product or providing things for people. We do all of that for you. You just get to focus on the fun of promoting this and sharing the opportunity. And if you're looking to start a business, you get to do this for less than $500 here, and your monthly overhead is less than $200 a month. It's only $159 a month to be a member with us, and yet the ability to grow an income here has no limit to it. And it's based only on how big your vision can be. So we are so proud of that. We are trying to bring kingdom believers back into the room. We have a vision of creating more financially free believers and kingdom millionaires and billionaires in the world, and bringing believers back into leadership, people who love Jesus. And so if you want to be in that room, and make sure you connect with us, join our movement by clicking on the link in the show notes, and we can't wait to welcome you into our family. I love that. Yeah. So we just moved into a fixer-upper, and we had to we kind of lived very minimal this past year because our upstairs was completely gutted, and we just had our basement space to live in. And so it was really rewarding to come out of that season and now actually be able to move in and unpack the kitchen and unpack my son's room and our room and my office space, and really realize how unattached I had become to the material things. And really, like you said, partner with God as I was, okay, what can I keep? What can I get rid of? Because we moved to a smaller home as well, which was part of our prioritizing. We didn't need the big house and all the keep up with the Joneses life. We wanted a different lifestyle. And so we chose to kind of downsize in different, in the bedrooms, but upsize in our outside land and in our kitchen and more living area spaces. And so I had to get rid of my clothes and get rid of different books and different things. And so I love that you said that, because I do believe when I was on that journey, there was the grief, of just letting things go. but also the joy that came with, okay, yes, we're letting things go, but we also don't need it because God's going to come in and bring the more joy, the more peace and abundance in his way and unique space that this new home is going to bring for us. So I just like putting what you said, kind of putting it into like, okay, how did I experience that? This literally in the past year of my life. And I think so true, bringing God in those biblical principles and strategies and partnering with the Holy Spirit and allowing like the Spirit and the more of Jesus to fulfill me and not allow things to fulfill me. Yeah, it's like such a beautiful perspective when you come at it from a faith-based approach versus like a worldly approach of like, I need all of these things to feel special or to feel abundant or feel alive or whatever. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, and you know, I know that a lot of people struggle to let go of things. They it's not that they're fixated on coveting, but you know, they enjoy their things and they just have a hard and sometimes, you know, it kind of goes back to maybe things that happen in their life and it has led them to this place of wanting to hold on. But I think oftentimes we overlook the benefit and the reward that comes from letting go. We you know, we haven't really gotten to that place yet, so we don't really know what to expect. But if you're willing to take a chance and let go of things that are not serving you, um, the blessing that comes from that release and really just surrendering that need to feel control over that thing, it does so much for your spirit. And the Lord doesn't want us to cling to things. He really wants us to cling to him.
Yeah.
And so when you kind of replace that need to cling to those things with him, it just really opens up an amazing relationship with the Lord. And I just encourage anyone who is like reluctant just to give it a try because you really don't know what's waiting for you. And yeah, sometimes it's worth just taking that step forward.
Yes, I agree. One thing I will say, and I would love to hear your perspective on this too. Is like I have a bucket downstairs where I'll kind of like, okay, I don't think I'm going to need this. It doesn't fit in my new closet space or whatever cabinet space. And I've kind of put some things in that bucket for right now, just to be like, as seasons change, like I'm in Indiana, so like I'm like maybe I'll need this with the weather. I don't know, but I'm kind of like have a holding. There's things like instantly I'm like no, got rid of it, took it to Goodwill like within that day, and then there are some things I've kind of cut back to be like I may need this. Let me see if I miss it. If I don't miss it, then by a certain time period I'm gonna get rid of it. So I'd love to know your perspective on that.
Yeah, so I have different seasons of purging. And so there's in some situations it's a daily purge with trash, you know, that's immediately gone, like no hesitation. In some cases it's going to be a month, you know, in other cases it's a season. So, you know, it kind of depends on, you know, how often you're using that thing. If it's no longer serving you, I say, you know, the quicker you can let it leave your home, the better it's going to be for you and your family. But, you know, I think that if it's something that you feel like, you know, I'm really uncertain and it's really kind of frustrating for me to like feel like I need to like let this go right now, you know, just give it a timeline. You know, if you have not used it in a full 12 months,
Right.
from season to season, I would say just give yourself permission to release that, you know, because most often, if we haven't used something in 12 months, we're never going to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have definitely found that to be true. And I'm kind of on the same timeline of like, I like purge my closet or I'll go through different areas of the house and be like, even with Elijah, as he's growing and changing, from a baby to a toddler to now like preschooler, what is he playing with? What is he not playing with? And, is he going to miss this if I just tuck it away for a minute? And then, oh, he hasn't asked for it. Let's get rid of it. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I'm trying to like add some of my personal story here because I feel like I'm going through the same thing and I feel like our listeners could benefit from that as well. So for those who are listening, what would you say to them? Like, what is that next right step that they can take to get started to becoming more organized if they're like kind of sitting in overwhelm, or maybe they're in a little, their atmosphere seems to be a little chaotic right now? What would you say to them that next right step would be?
So most often, the journey to becoming more organized is through clearing clutter in our open spaces, like our counters and tables and floors, anything that's, we can visibly see. And also creating order in closed spaces like drawers and cupboards and closets. So what I've found is that the struggle with clutter that most people seem to have is deeply rooted in their mindset and their habits. And this is usually because it's been formed over time and it's just kind of taken root. And so, from my personal experience and from, the experience of my clients, we often convince ourselves that, oh, I just don't have time right now. So I'm just going to declutter later when I have more time. But oftentimes later just doesn't come. And so, it really just leads to more clutter. And so this mindset, it just kind of perpetuates this problem. And so I know this is going to be hard for some people to hear, but I like to speak the truth. Oftentimes our habits really need to change. And so, it's important to just kind of take a moment and recognize, is this a habit that needs to change for me? Because when we continue to repeat what I call clutter causing habits day in and day out, the clutter just keeps piling up. And so it's like, really, it can be in some cases like a snowball effect, where, you're just becoming further and further away from your goal of an organized home. So, it's really important to be aware of your clutter causing habits, because they'll not only transform the way that your space looks, but it's also going to really transform the way that you think about your things. So, it's important to take note of, those moments throughout your day, the decisions that you're making, because they do have this effect, over time, this lasting effect. So, if you recognize that clutter is in fact a habit that needs to, or your clutter causing habits need to change, and you feel like, yes, I can agree, clutter is stealing my time and my energy and my inner peace, then now is the time to change those habits. So after overcoming my own personal struggle with clutter throughout my home, it definitely was an issue for me. I learned exactly which habits helped me to keep clutter under control so that I could actually enjoy a clutter-free and organized home. So putting all of my action-oriented steps into a plan, I now offer this Faithfully Clutter-Free Guide. So this would really be a great step for someone who is looking to clear clutter from their home and really allow it to have a lasting effect for them. So in this guide, it's really easy to follow. It's like step by step, and it really empowers you to experience. It goes way beyond just moving stuff out of the way. Like you are experiencing joy and peace that comes from living clutter-free. I believe that's the way that God desires for you to live. So I would love to offer that to your listeners.
Yes, please. We will put all of those details in the show notes for sure. I have one more question that I'm going to kind of throw a curveball at you. But as you were speaking, I was like, okay, we as mamas, I think sometimes can have the habits, and then how do we get our family to kind of come along us undo like the same habits and the systems? I feel like it's harder probably for the boys, as I'm the only girl in my household. So how do I get my boys or other family members living in our atmosphere, in our homes, to also be like, hey, here's a new habit, here's a new system. What would be your advice for that?
I'm so glad you asked this. I get asked this question a lot, and it is definitely one of the biggest frustrations that a lot of families experience, a lot of moms experience, dads too. I would say it's really important to, my first recommendation is always going to be go to the Lord for surrendering any frustration. You don't want to go into this feeling frustrated and resentful. You don't want your family feeling discouraged as you're trying to get them on board. So surrender that immediately, and then just invite in the Holy Spirit to speak through you. Because when you speak with kindness and sincerity, it really helps to get your family on board. And I would say it's really important to lead by example. If this is an area that you struggle with, your family is going to be really much more inclined to get on board if they see that you are doing what you're asking them to do. So if you want them to clean up their room, it's important that you are cleaning up your room too. If you want them to, put their shoes away when they come in the house, you need to be doing the same. If you, want them to clear the table after dinner, lead by example. So I would also say you may be surprised, but girls can be just as disorderly as boys. That's the case in my family. So I find that children, once they get to a certain age, they really start to cling to things. They start to have their treasures and all their special things, and they don't know how to keep those things tidy. And so this is something that you can certainly teach once you yourself have learned these skills, which I do teach in my program. But it's important to give them grace as they are learning this new system, because everything takes time to learn. And if you can help them, if you can help them help you, then it'll just be a more easygoing process for everyone. So I love teaching. I love helping families learn this system together. And a little praise goes a long way. If your children are having a hard time letting go of things, or getting into the new routine, you don't need to go buy them a new toy. Simply praise them. Sometimes it helps to have a little chart or a little sticker chart or something like that. But verbal praise is really wonderful when they're learning how to get into the new routine.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all of your just little nuggets and wisdoms, Crystal. Okay, so as we wrap up, where would you like people to go to connect with you? And I'm going to put this in the show notes as well, but if you want to just kind of shout out your website or your Facebook or social media handles, please do so.
Yeah, so I'm on all the all the social media platforms. I'm on Facebook. You can connect with me there if you want to meet with me. Crystal Tharp Organized, and I also have a Facebook group that I would love to have you join. It's the Organized Home. I'm also on Instagram. My handle's the Org Home. And that handle is also for my website too. So theorghome.com. I also have a blog there. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Pinterest, I'm on YouTube. So yeah, I'm just kind of spread it all over the place.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Crystal, for sharing your guide with us. I'm going to put that information in the show notes too, so you ladies listening can make sure you grab that, because that's going to be very powerful for you. And I just really appreciate your time, Crystal, for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Brandie. It was a pleasure to be here.
Yes. All right, everybody, have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We would love to hear from you. So please share your takeaways by tagging @LiveVictorious over on Instagram and leave a review.
This will help us get more visibility and reach more women like you for the kingdom. We appreciate you and are praying for you as you shine your light in the business world and rise to your purpose.